Hi folks, you're with Tacitus at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about it's called CPAC, C-P-A-C, the Conservative Conference and Speaking Event that's being held in Sydney, in fact this weekend. I'd like to talk about the contrast between the way the police and the Department of Prosecutions handle protesters trying to disrupt a conservative event as versus the very rare occasions when alleged conservative people disrupt a gay lesbian event or a leftist event or a globalist event. So and also the way the media reports on this. Now, the event in Sydney has and you can Google it, CPAC, CPAC, and just put in Sydney and look at the stories. All the top stories are from the noted leftist globalist journals, and they give a fairly flattering sort of view of just how stunning and brave the protesters are. Now, the protesters are a bit of a combination of this prominent LGBTQ and Black Lives Matter, Antifa type mob there, but the spokesperson for the group that was interviewed and who's quoted on all the media pieces, at least that I've seen, is somebody who was a homosexual and went straight out of high school into the homosexual activism sort of thing. So recruited straight out of high school and was involved in high school. So they've been involved with NGOs that are deliberately recruiting people straight during high school and from high school to do the street marching and the propaganda spreading and so on. So this person has, as I understand at least, quite serious mental health problems, and has since decided to become transgender. And as I understand, is transitioning from a gay man into being a lesbian or a woman. No, a woman. I don't know if it's a lesbian, a woman. So we're talking somebody who's seriously fucked up here, and yet they're quoted as being an expert in the matter and so on. So they're certainly the pieces again that I've seen. We're fighting back against fascists and Nazis and the far right, white supremacists, Hitler. And so they're depicted, or this person anyway, and the people alongside them, they're depicted as stunning and brave, fighting back against the man, fighting back against Hitler. Hitler is everywhere. And so this person can make the most outrageous comments that we're dealing here with fascist bigots. Donald Trump, we can't allow this to happen here. We're not going to allow it. We're going, and this, absurdly sort of these grand statements. And this is from somebody who's so mentally fucked up that they can barely get through a day. But whatever resources they need to go out and do a protest is made available to them. Now, so they're depicted in a very positive light, and every assertion they make, fighting back against fascists and bigots, is just taken as accepted. There's no questioning it. That's what they're there for, and their cause is justified. What they're doing is reasonable. It needs to be done to stop Hitler. That's what it is. Now let's take a little different here. It's if they approached it from which none of the journals I've seen have. They approached it from an objective angle and just said, Billy Bob, who is recruited while in high school by an activist NGO that's allowed to operate tax-free in Australia, that's received donations from George Soros and well-known globalists. A guy who's seriously fucked up, has been in and out of mental care and drug abuse. Has got some serious problems. Was gay, now is transgender. and da 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 da, and is under psychiatric care, and so you wouldn't sort of listen to anything. Okay, that the guy's a lunatic. I'm not going to listen to that. But instead, they don't. The person is depicted as fighting the good fight, of doing something that's just, that's necessary, that's needed. We've got to stop fascists. I mean, do you support Hitler? Is that what you're saying? Well, then you must support this guy doing what he's doing and the people alongside him. So the media has no attempt at objectivity, whereas they depict the people who are speaking at the conference, which includes Nigel Farage and others, depicting those people as, they're fascist Nazis and we have to stop them, but giving an absolute free ride and a free run to these mentally disturbed lunatics that are doing the protesting. Now, if you look at the police presence, and to my understanding, there was no overt violence, but there was jostling and heckling of people who were trying to get into and they were getting called bigot, racist, fascist, Nazi, and so on. So they were getting catcalled as they were going in, and the police seemed to be not there to protect the people attending the Conservative conference, but to protect the gay, lesbian, Antifa people from possibly getting some blowback from the Conservative people. So they were effectively there to protect the protesters and protect them in their harassment of the Conservatives. That's at least as I perceive it. Now, if the opposite is the case, where you get some Conservatives who may be protesting outside an abortion clinic, or protesting outside LGBT stuff that's talking about minor attracted persons, and lowering the age of consent for gay, lesbian sex, that sort of thing. If Conservatives or simply people protesting, Conservative or not, are outside, much stronger police presence. And if the gay, lesbian folks get upset, it's the Conservatives' fault for being there and protesting. So the complete reverse is applied. The police are there to protect the protesters. And what we need to understand is any street activism, protest, anything at all that supports the globalist project, that helps the globalist project, that enables the globalist project, that furthers the globalist project, and that is to create social division in the West along race, gender, and sexual proclivity lines, then the state is now, in the Western world, is now protecting that. That is a protected activity. And if you Conservatives or anyone else, anyone who's not fully on board with the globalist project, has got a problem with that, then you are the problem, not them. They are helping the globalist project, and they are protected by the taxpayer-funded state apparatus of justice and police and so on. We see this all across the Western world, including climate activism, things like that. So yet the reverse is the case on the other side. The police are very keen and zealous, and the Department of Prosecutions very zealous in their pursuit of people who are opposing the not necessarily the globalist project, but opposing the enablement of the globalist project. So if you oppose any of these things, the climate activism, the creating social division along race, gender, and sexual proclivity lines, if you oppose any of those or push back against it, you're the criminal, and the globalist controlled government and Justice Department of Police will come after you. You're the problem. You're the guilty one. You're the criminal. And so I've noticed this around the Western world, and certainly in Australia and elsewhere. There's just a real zeal in going. Not that long ago, there was a Catholic priest, or cardinal actually, and the determination to get him, stick it up him, and put him in prison was so great that the Department of Prosecution, including, by the way, in my opinion, the judges that were initially involved, they were so keen to get this guy that they recklessly disregarded vital evidence that would have proved that he couldn't possibly have committed the inappropriate crimes they were accusing him of. It simply would have been an impossibility, but they recklessly disregarded this evidence and put him in prison. Now the matter was then taken to the Supreme Court of the High Court of Australia, and the judges there, in a savage and damning indictment of those activist judges in the lower court, set the cardinal free by a vote of 7-0. 7-0. There wasn't even like the slightest debate about it that the man's due legal process had been breached. But I see this now across the Western world, that if you're opposing the globalization game of undermining Western society, then you are opposing globalization. If you are opposing globalization, they will crush you. You've been with Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.